Well, today we're going to do a project on top of a project. So anyway, what I mean is I go to an altered club every month, and at the end of every meeting somebody does a make and take. We bring our own tag and then they show us some kind of technique. The technique for this past month was, she called it bubble paper. You take dish soap, water, food coloring or watercolors or anything that makes the water change colors, and you put on in a paper plate with a lip. You put water, you put your dish soap, and then you take a straw and you blow, and you want enough dish soap in there that you're going to get good bubbles. So you blow until everything's really mixed up, and you start pulling the color into the bubbles. And the more bubbles, the more rapid and hard you're blowing through that straw, the more the color actually travels in with the bubbles. And then you dredge this just across the bubbles. You don't get it into the water, you just get it on the bubbles. And let me see if you can see there. It's a very subtle, very subtle effect. This was just on a piece of copy paper that she had us start off with, so we could kind of see what it did. Anyway, so now what we have to do is, using this as our main part of our background, we have to make a tag, and we can't cover up too much of this background. And then we stick this on the back of the tag, and we take it back, and then we trade them so that I get somebody else's idea of what they did with this background, and they get my idea. So you know, and it helps us to learn and expand our repertoire. I have a fun time. Anyway, so for this project, if you want to do the bubble paper thing, you know, you're welcome to, and then join along with me, or you can just watch and see what I do. I'm using some stamping mask paper from the Inka Dinka Doo. I have stamped already for time's sake and cut out my masks. Block. I'm using Dylusions Clearly Under the Sea stamp set. I have some VersaFine Onyx Black pigment ink, and then I have some Versamark water, yeah, this stuff, Versamark. And then I have also the Wow Clear Embossing Powder. So, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp, let me find a, all of the, come here, all these little buggers on where I want them. Okay. And I have my little handy dandy here. Make sure I clean my stamps. I'm trying to be better at that. Here's this little fella here. I'm trying to basically fill in the spots that don't really have a whole lot. Let me put this here. There we go. I have this little scrubby pad, I've got some stamp cleaner. I think this is the Hero Arts stamp cleaner, one of my faves. Okay, this is the other guy. And I think I've got one more. I think it's this little fella here. No, it's this little fella. Right here. Okay. So there's everything stamped. Put all this aside. So now I'm going to put all my masks on. This one especially was fun to cut out. Okay. I say sometimes this mask paper, if there's stuff already on, if it's not straight on paper, it doesn't stick very well. So you're just going to have to be really careful. Got my little fish here. And you want to save all of the backings because you he's a little too small. Hold on. I get one side. I can't see what the other side's doing because my fingers are in the way. Okay. Okay. The soap on this is probably, I guess there's maybe some residue, I'm not sure, but it's not helping the really fine stuff to adhere down very well. Keeps popping up. Although all I need is for it to hold while I take the Versamark and just hopefully it won't pull it up too badly. Oops. There we go. There we go. Get that. Alright. Okay, for heaven's sakes. Alright, one more. And then we're going to get moving on here. This is about as interesting as watching paint dry. Okay. Last one. There we go. Alright, so now what we're going to do, hopefully, is I'm going to get all of this covered with the Versamark. And hopefully this stuff will stay down well enough that I can do that. what I was afraid of. Hopefully, oh no, I didn't get everything. Let me see if I can line this up one more time. There, I think I've got everything in that area now. I got this little fella. These probably won't be used anymore. But that's okay. That is okay. Let's see where else needs it. It's kind of right here in the center where there's nothing. Alrighty, I think I've got it all. And I'm going to peel this guy off, and I'm going to peel this guy off. And now I'm going to sprinkle this on. Of course, the other thing you're going to need is an embossing, a heat embosser. It looks like maybe some of that didn't, that paper didn't keep the Versamark from coming through. So that is, let me get a brush here. Hold on just a second. Okay, so I got most all of the stuff brushed off camera because you would not have wanted to sit here and watch me do all of this. But basically, just for future reference, the masking does not keep the Versamark from going through. It'll keep ink, but not Versamark. Although I'm finding it extremely easy to brush off, I think there's still a thin coat that did kind of just permeate through the mask. So anyway, all I did was just kind of brush away. And if I would have used the buddy, it may have worked a little better. But I'll know better next time. Anyway, okay. Now I am going to double check that I've got everything done here. Make sure I've got this little spans here taken care of. Looks like there's, okay. It looks like maybe this didn't get taken care of. Let me see if I can without getting it on what I just brushed it off of. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to move this away, put this lid on. And excuse my noise. You always want to let this heat up to a point where it's going to actually melt it before it starts folding everything over. And you can usually tell by how warm it is when it hits your skin. Just don't do it real close. Okay. There we go. Sometimes it's really cool to watch this. do its thing. And it's making that color pop a little bit better. Alright. Remove my fingers. Now it's going to town. You don't want to ever go over a spot that's already melted, because once it's melted, it's not going to melt anymore. There we go. And I got one little spot. Yeah, there's a couple spots that got missed, but that's okay. That's alright. Now I'm going to let that cool off. Just a smidge here. I'll go ahead and put the rest of my embossing powder away. And I guess I'm going to be throwing those masks away because they are totally permeated with it almost looks like how this masking fluid pen fine tip. I like this just as well, and but I had to get that and try it. So anywho, okay, so now you can see my my background stamping or bubble paper came out even better once you put the clear on. And now I'm going to take just some, let's see, I've got some of my Zig watercolor. Let's see. Gonna just kind of color this in. And just in case I took off more than I wanted to, I'm trying to make sure I stay within the lines. Because I don't want it to be outside of the black. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'm going to get this colored in, and I'll be back and show you a final take. Okay, so I finished it. I put some really fun fibers on the tag, and there it is. There is some Wink of Stella on some of it, and I think it's really stinking cute. And thank you so much for joining me, and you'll get to see all of the things that I do for the Altered Art Club on another video called the Altered Art Club. I think I do it monthly installments. Alright guys, thanks. Have a good night. Well, it's night for me. See ya!